Okay, welcome everybody. We are live. Just a few hours ago, Tesla actually have announced, or they've just said that they've had the very first CyberCab go off the production line. This is their photo that they shared. This is early. This is ahead of what we thought it was going to happen in April. There's actually 420 people there. Somebody made a count of all those folks, and you can see the photo of the actual CyberCab here. That's the very first one that just came out just a few hours ago. And then, interestingly, Elon made a comment as well. He said, "Congratulations to the team on making the very first production CyberCab." And then Sawyer and others were pointing out that Marcus Brownlee in October 2024, he made a bet, and he said the CyberCab being delivered before 2027 for $30,000. He said there's no way they're actually going to be able to do that. If they do, I'll shave my head on camera. I'm that confident they won't do it. I've got that video of him doing it. I'll play that later. Omar posted this, making fun of him. You're going to have to do this. Elon said, gonna happen. And then Dylan asked the question, to be clear, the bet was that Tesla wouldn't sell a CyberCab to a customer for $30,000 or less before 2027. That means it has to happen this year. Are you saying that specifically is going to happen? Elon said, yes. Jeff, tell us about what's happening with the CyberCab production.
Yeah, let's clear up a few things. First off, this is good news. So if you're following Tesla, you're a fan of Tesla, you're a fan of autonomy, this is good news. This is a good sign. This is the connective tissue to the start of production milestone being achieved potentially in April. This is pretty typical in the auto industry and in other industries. And Tesla doesn't necessarily follow what I would call traditional gate-like structures. They certainly have a process, and they certainly have gates, but what they tend to do is they tend to accelerate and work through things in parallel to really drive cycle time and time to market. So what this means is this is a first unit built off of the production line. So that's a production line that should have all production hardware on the manufacturing surfaces, all the fixtures, everything should be production worthy. It doesn't mean that something on that line won't be changed or tweaked between now and April. It means that you've brought the whole production process together, including making production, making the things in production that will touch the CyberCab, making them out of production hardware, and bringing in all your components, whether you're making them in your own factory or you're bringing them in from suppliers, you're bringing them off of what's called a production tool. And production tooling versus prototype tooling, sometimes it's called soft tooling, they have different implications, and every company handles this differently. I don't want to go down too many different paths, but what this essentially means is this is a candidate for a production worthy vehicle. And the fact that it was done at this point in time is the connective tissue to the start of production in April. And what Tesla has to do now is, between building this first unit, is what they're going to want to do is they're going to want to, this unit may not see the light of day. This unit may get torn down immediately, meaning torn down. They're going to tear it apart. They're going to look, they're going to check the adhesive bonding. They're going to check any welds. They're going to check any kind of mechanical adhesion, any kind of fit, finish, anything that has tolerances to them that could be marginal. They're going to go in and check that. Or this may go into a reliability test. This could go to a number of different things, but this isn't going to a customer. This isn't the first one to sell for $30,000 or less. But again, I view this as a good sign. I view this happening in mid-February as giving them the shot and the opportunity to production starting sometime in April.
Thanks for explaining that, because people were over-interpreting it, meaning to say that, oh, the production is going to start flowing. We're going to have hundreds this week. That's not what this is. But
I'll go through that, what I think that is. Yeah.
Okay, but it is the very first time that they actually have. It's not a production line, right? It's a pseudo production line. It's called the Unboxed model, which they've never done before, and so they've at least tested that, and at least that's moving forward for sure. We know that they've made a bunch. We've seen 20 plus. We've seen 30 of them out there in the wild already, but those are probably handmade. Maybe a few pieces of the production line of this Unboxed model.
I mean, what you typically do prior to this is you have a smaller operation set up, but you have some more hand modification of units involved. You have non-production processes involved. And what you're trying to do in that situation prior to this is you're really trying to get the product somewhat representative into various testing. It could be the software development, hardware development, reliability testing, crash testing, noise vibration, field test, road test. You're trying to get something representative while you're actually designing the production process in parallel. What this is this is representative of we've set up the production stations in the factory. We don't have to call it a line. We can call the production unboxed stations in the factory, and we turn them on. And they produce doors. They produce panels. They produced all the things that Tesla makes in the factory. And the material system went and got the materials that are brought in from suppliers and brought them to the line and properly kitted them. And it went through the full assembly process. So any bonding steps, adhesives, anything that's involved, it went through that full process and curing and so forth. And this car should be fully electrically functional, fully tested. And that's the other thing you're testing, because during the factory, Tesla does self-testing. Tesla has a very advanced approach to manufacturing. It's focused on precision with hyper simplification. It's getting all the stuff out of the way that is duplicative or doesn't make sense, and embedding as much into the product as possible. So to get back to what this is, yeah, Tesla has made cybercabs, and you see them in Austin, you see them in other cities. Those were most likely made off of smaller processes. Some were prototypes, some were production, and a lot of hand modifications involved. What you're trying to do here is you're trying to let something go through the line with production operators. You have your technicians, you have your engineers standing over it, but you want something to go through the whole process. This is a first off of production unit. This does not mean this is not the start of production milestone. The start of production milestone between now and then, what Tesla's going to do is they're going to start turning the rates up on these machines. They're going to work through this unit was produced. I'm sure there were some issues along the way. They're going to put those corrective actions in. They may try to build another one tomorrow. And what I expect in February is I expect them to try to do something like one every other day, maybe one every day, maybe getting to 1 to 2 per day. And then in March, stepping that up and getting into, a half dozen, a dozen or so forth throughout the month of March per day. So when you get to start of production doesn't mean like you walk into the factory, it's dark, you turn the lights on and say, hurrah, we've started production. Start of production is actually the lights are already on and the machines are running at a rate that's representative of your early production start. It may not be the rate that it's not going to be the rate that they're going to be at in December of this year, but it's going to be at a much higher rate than a prototype environment. And that's what start of production is. Start of production is you've cleared all these prior gates and milestones. You know your reliability. You know your hardware is good. You know the reliability is good. You know the electrical functionality, electromechanical functionality is good. You know your major tolerance issues have been solved mechanically. Things fit together. There's no squeaks. There's no creaks. And that's when you're into start of production, because now you're really committing this, what we call in manufacturing, you're doing value add in the process. Because right now, before everything's in just separate parts at their nominal value. But as soon as you start putting this together and you start adding value to it, you really start cranking up the liability curve. So this is why you start slow with what they're doing today, and you stair step that up. As Elon said, this is going to be excruciatingly slow in the beginning. And let me warn people, this is not going to be a typical product or a typical vehicle ramp. This is not like the Model Y. This is not like certainly not like the Model Y. This is in terms of, well, it's hard to compare to Model 3 because Tesla was really doing a lot of different things and automating for the first time. All I'll say is there's a lot of stuff here that's at the scale that Tesla is doing is new to the industry. So when you have so many different new things, even how the connectorization is done in the car, things we don't even see, when you have all of those so many new things happening concurrently, you keep the rate low, but you consistently build. And this is why I posted that clip yesterday on X. They have to get started and they just have to build, because at these low velocities, you're going to find new issues, things you didn't see before. And when you're at the low velocities, you can fix things more quickly. You have less exposure of product that's out the door. And so that's why Elon said he's going to start this slow. But then the way that this production system is capacitized, the capacity of it, the way that Unboxed is designed, the takt time, this is the time you hear about trying to get under 10 seconds. This is a rocket ship, but it's going to lift off in stages very slowly, but it will be faster than any car production if they hit their intended takt time targets.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I know. We don't need to over interpret what this means, but it's still a very important step. They need to make every single step along the way. We've seen the cars, 20 plus, driving around all over the United States. I think there's over 30 plus, right? 40, actually, maybe. There was 20 in Austin, even possibly testing autonomy itself, robotaxi, but testing it. Now they have the first. Elon, just a few days ago, I was going to try to show that as well. He made a couple comments as well, didn't he? You and I did a show just a couple days ago. This is great, how fast this is. Where he said, and I'll point this out here, but he said that, here it is. Hold on. Boom.
And Herbert, while we're pulling this up, yeah, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, he said CyberCab, which has, this is just 2 days ago. No, I'm sorry. Yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday, he said this.
Yeah.
CyberCab, which has no pedals or steering wheel, starts production in April. So he confirmed that. He keeps doubling down on this date, and it's only 6 to 8 weeks away. Elon replied, said, it's an all-new product and radical redesign of car manufacturing to achieve 5 times higher production rate, which means the output S-curve is going to be very, very slow in the beginning, but ultimately super high volume. So it's going to be very slow because it's a whole new model. Everything's new, radical redesign of car manufacturing, but it's intended to be eventually 5 times higher production rate. So This is a big deal that they finally got it started.
Yeah, if I didn't see that, I was very confident when we spoke and we put the video out Monday. If I didn't see this happening, in a week or two, I'd have to restate that confidence and say, look, if you haven't seen the first off of production, then they're probably not getting to the SOP, the start of production milestone in April. I mean, it's still possible, but when you have a vehicle of this, again, it's a little bit of a conflict for people because the CyberCab is less part count and supposed to be simple. It's simplified. It's simple when you sit inside of it, but it's elegant. But it's actually complex to get off the ground from a production perspective, and that's the point I wanted to make clear. That's what the point Elon is making. They have all kinds of things that they need to work through. I can think of every ramp has a list of 10 things that are probably killer issues or more, and they got to work through them. They've got to work through color match. They've got to work through color consistency. They've got to work through fits, finishes, gaps, this opening, closing mechanism of the door. There's so many things that they have to work through and dial in.
It's all brand new. Okay, so I wanted to show the other thing. It's not just today that the whole part of the breaking news was not only that Tesla announced that they have the very first CyberCab through the production line, but also Elon made a comment about when to expect the CyberCab being delivered to customers for less than $30,000. So Marcus Brownlee, in October of 2024, he said, there's no way this is going to happen. Elon replied saying it is going to happen. So let's listen to what Marcus actually said.
Red flag to me is the timeline stuff. That, I mean, this is notorious Elon stuff. He gets on stage, he says, we're going to have this vehicle out for $30,000 before 2027. No, they're not. There's just no way that they're actually going to be able to do that. I mean, if they do, let's say they do, I will shave my head on camera because I'm not confident they won't do it. Like, I want to be optimistic, but there's just too much stacked up against it, because in order to ship this at all with no steering wheel and everything, they have to get all the regulatory approval for the full self-driving and all that, and get all the prices down in spite of inflation, and ship something with scissor doors and all this stuff in the next 2 years. There's just no way.
Yeah, I mean, that's a skepticism, and that's fair. So people are obviously wanting Tesla to succeed, and Omar said, oh, "Here's what you're going to look like, Marcus." Elon laughed at it, says it's going to happen. And then Dylan wanted to confirm, said, "Look, Elon, to be clear, what he said, what the Marcus said was the bet was that Tesla wouldn't sell a CyberCab to a customer for 30,000 or less before 2027. If you read before 2027, that means this year. Are you saying, Elon, that specifically that's going to happen?" Elon said yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tesla can do, Tesla has a lot of flexibility here to do what they want. A number of things have to come together, because you've got to get your cogs under control, and there's a number of things that have to happen, but Tesla can ultimately do what they want to do here. Obviously, they got to work through the regulatory piece of it as well. But you can say anybody can say that criticism is fair. To me, that wasn't informed criticism. I'd rather hear from somebody who's designed and built a lot of product, and then they say, well, yeah, this is a pretty challenging schedule. I respect them if they figure it out. But just to sit there and never have built anything and just say, no, they're not going to do it. If I'm Tesla, I'm bringing that video every couple of weeks or month, and I bring it into the product review and say, reminder, this is what some of the top reviewers are thinking, of your team, of the team and capability. I think that's a BS take, and it's not an informed take. And again, you can say like, oh, Tesla time and Elon time or whatever. That's fine, but that's not an informed take. An informed take would have been, going through the issues and really trying to understand what's possible. I think he said that in 2024. I think he said that. So to say that they're not, I mean, I don't know, that to me wasn't informed, but he said it's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, even Elon has said that it's impossible to determine. There are just a million parts, hundreds, tens of thousands of parts that go into this particular vehicle. Maybe less than 10,000, because that's the number of parts there are for regular cars. But still, brand new, anything can happen. You're as lucky or you're least lucky as the least lucky part, he said. He repeated many times. So fine.
I'm glad, Herbert, to see that Tesla disaggregated unsupervised FSD and robotaxi and started that with a Model Y, and then left this to be its own thing, and then the two merge and get married together. If we had to wait for this, then you're really stacking the probabilities on top of each other, and it's a real serious conversation. This is difficult enough as it is. So I'm glad that they were able to separate and disaggregate those two. Because it makes the schedules for each one of them, unsupervised, robotaxi, and CyberCab, it makes them more realizable when they're actually separate.
So right now, though, it does appear that CyberCab is still on track as of now. Now, just to be clear to folks, people go, oh, it's supposed to have wireless charging. Yeah, when they did this show, they talked about it having wireless charging. This is a plan for the future. So we have not seen this in the wild, but this is still the plan. In the meantime, what we have seen in the wild is this. I mean, this is real thing that's happening now. They're testing these CyberCabs on the street, and there's a charger right there. That's where you see it. That's how it's going to be done. So as they roll out the wireless charging, then they can slowly stop requiring this. But right now, these are still being driven. They're being tested, and that's what it is. So that just tells you what it is.
Again,
and then the other thing is
just on the wireless charging, Herbert, before we go, this could be one of those things where in the hand built or the prototype units, that module wasn't ready. But my strong guess is for them to call this a first off production unit, the wireless charging, the receiver's in that car.
So yeah, it's already in the car. But the other thing I was going to say was, yes, the other one is the butterfly doors that I just showed that image there. That at some point you will have these butterfly doors that open by itself and close by itself. But right now, you can still see people pressing the buttons on the door side to open and close. So this is very complicated. There's all this new door format. They've never done that before. They've done the Model X Falcon Wing doors, wireless charging. Never done that before. I mean, we've done many shows of the, 10s and
Herbert,
20s.
It's
Hundreds of
counterintuitive.
things
I go back to my comment from yesterday. It's counterintuitive, but the more new stuff that's in the car, the more likely I believe it is for them to get to start of production. And they may slow the rate down in the beginning, but to me, it's more likely that they do continuous small pulses of production and they get the start of production in April. To me, it's more likely the more complex the product is, because the more you sit there in absence of data, in absence of building units, the higher that because you're still bringing in parts. The material, the warehouse is stacking up to the roof, to the rafters with parts. So you can't now. I mean, I'm saying that obviously they're controlling that inventory level. The point is you've turned everything on, and the worst thing you can do is sit there in absence of data. So I think they're going to be building cybercabs, and it could be, again, one every day, one every other day this month, something on the order of that, a couple this month, handfuls to getting to tens of units next month. And I think Q2 April, if they started production in April, I think the production starts with in the hundreds per month. I think it leaves the quarter in the thousands. And then the next quarter, Q3, gets to the 5,000 to 10,000 range per month. I believe that is the level that they should be getting to with this. Because again, once you work through the issues, this should ramp fast once you're through the initial S of the curve.
So hundreds in April, thousands next quarter, and then maybe 5,000 by the end. Even those numbers are shocking.
That's not what I said.
Right?
That's not what I said. I said start hundreds in the start of the quarter in Q2, leaving the quarter into the thousands per month, leaving Q2, so June, end of June,
thousands,
and then they should be getting to the 5,000 to 10K range per month in Q3. Now that may stretch into Q4, but that's what they should be doing with this.
Yeah. I'm just going to say that is huge numbers, as because again, Elon doubled down just yesterday saying that they're going to have no steering wheel and pedals, which means that they would be used for robotaxi. And if he didn't say that yesterday, I don't know yet. So we'll still see what they intend to do, because the other part about that I'm confused with is when he said, yeah, we're going to sell it to consumers or to somebody. We'll sell it to somebody under 30,000 by the end of this year. Who's going to buy a steering wheel-less driverless car? Unless he's talking about, some fleet manager. I don't know about how that works.
Steve Jerviston, he'll buy one.
Yeah. Yeah, so like one person or something. I don't know.
No,
that's the part that confuses me.
I mean, we shouldn't assume that. We should assume that Tesla's going to build out a fleet, and then they're going to open it up to customers. So I'm not setting my expectations at one unit for the year for customers. It should be more than that.
CERN lives in Austin. He would be able to buy one, put it into the network, but he paid for it. Is that what you're thinking? But it's like he will never drive it. It's just strictly, I'm sponsored this. I don't know. We'll see how this all works out.
Well, they have to release their go-to-market plan. They haven't released the go-to-market plan. We're assuming that they're building a fleet, and we're assuming they're taking cars. By the way, that's the other reason that startup production is going to be more confident, because in typical startup production, those units are live and they should be going to a real consumer. They should be going to a Herbert or to me, and they got to be perfect. But in this case, and I think they're still striving for perfection, they're going to ship to Tesla. They're going to ship to their own fleet. So I think they can be a little bit, not say looser, but I think they can take a couple more chances in this because it's going to start with them being their own customer. If that makes sense.
I just wanted to go through this because it's a good list sort of made of all the things that are new about this specific production-ready version. This was, of course, made in end of December, I think, and so it's still, yeah, I think let's take a quick look here. Yeah, December. So it might have changed, but I doubt it. This is, this is it. This is the discussion. So there's a whole list of things. I'm not going to go through it, but frameless windows, carpet material, lots of things. They have already made changes to what we had seen of what they said they were going to do way back in 1010 We Robot event. So lots of changes already made. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they've been testing for a while. So, and this is not Tesla's first car, but like I said, in the act of simplification, they created a lot of new things that are in this car. We'll hear more about it. My guess is when they have the launch event. I don't think they're going to. If I were Tesla, I wouldn't reveal everything. I'd wait for teardown units to be available. And maybe that's much later in the year. I would not reveal everything. I think people have to remember this is going to be a $25,000 vehicle, somewhere in that range in terms of retail, and it's going to look very sleek. It's going to look more expensive than its $25,000. Other $25,000 vehicles are not going to look as good as this once this is in production. So Tesla's achieved something here in terms of value per dollar. Remember the scissor doors. Remember all the different things that they put in this thing and how clean and crisp this looks on the inside. That's not easy to do. And I think this distinction is lost on a lot of people. A lot of auto companies, when they make a $20,000, $25,000 car, they are stripping away features and functionality that are preferred by people and they're just not there in that car. And what Tesla tries to do is it's the same FSD computer in every vehicle, and they try to give you a lot more value for that price tier.
Okay, well, this is it. Today was a historic day. It's the very first official CyberCab production off the production line. First CyberCab off the production line at Giga Texas, and they made it official. The team got around and they celebrated this. And then, as I mentioned earlier, Elon also doubled down yesterday that they will be making these without steering wheels and pedals, and that he still thinks they'll be able to sell this to somebody for under $30,000 before the end of this year. And he just said that today.
Yeah, I tell you, the first functional prototype is very exciting. When the thing lights up, it's fully functional. Someone could drive it away or it could drive itself away. And then the first production unit going through the real production process is also a very exciting time for the manufacturing associates in the factory, the technicians, the manufacturing engineers, the supervisors, the engineers, the product development engineers and technicians, the software people. Everybody gets involved in what they want to see that going out the final doors of the factory. It's a very exciting thing for people, and this is not just another Model 3 or Y. This is, we look back, we'll crack open our history books, and we saw when Ford made the Model T. Yes. And we're going to see what this eventually gets to. But if it lives up to its sub 10-second click rate, this is a major step forward in vehicle production.
There will be a day when many cities, if not all, will have CyberCabs or variants of this all over. That's going to be our main form of transportation. Car as a service, very low price, basically near zero autonomous driving. And this is it. This was designed for autonomous, and it was designed for scale. That's the difference. I mean, we know Zoox is out there, but they have hundreds. Waymo's cars are not designed for autonomy. They are just a regular car that they slapped on lots of sensors. This was one of the very first that is designed for autonomy, but more importantly, it's designed for scale, like serious scale.
And for price.
And price, and that's meant to be out there, like lowest cost of transportation. That's going to, if they can get below $1.50 per mile, people will stop buying cars for themselves. Once they get under $1, once they get under 50 cents, all sorts of transportation will transfer here. This is it. Historic. Thank you so much, Jeff. I appreciate your knowledge about manufacturing and what this means. And it's important. It's important to explain to people, yes, it's the first out there, but it doesn't mean that it's off to the races. This is just the first step. Thank you so much, Jeff. Thanks, everybody.
Yep.
Wow.
Thank you.